Hey everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics. This week's questions answered video, shoulder holster and cross draw for carry of a handgun. So this one's pretty easy. My short answer for both carry positions is no, and now I'm going to tell you specifically why I feel that it's a no. But first, an understanding, not to insult anybody's intelligence again, but just so we all understand what we're talking about. Shoulder holster is the carry of a handgun with the muzzle in the horizontal, which meaning it rides underneath the arm with the muzzle pointed towards the rear, or in some cases vertical. You see that with a lot of revolvers. You see not so much with semi-automatics, but those holsters still exist, where the muzzle points towards the ground as a traditional holster would. And cross draw, of course, is the carry of the firearm on the opposite side of the dominant hand, to where the magazine well points out and you reach across your body to draw it, hence the term cross draw. There are a lot of really good reasons to say no to both carry positions from a combative standpoint or a weapon retention standpoint, just being the fact that it's much easier for someone to trap your arm against your body or prevent you from accessing the weapon or even take the weapon away from you. But we're not going to get into all that. We're going to talk specifically about efficiency and control of the muzzle. Now I have to be clear, I'm speaking strictly from a self-defense carry viewpoint. I'm not talking about recreational carry or even hunting carry, because I feel like those are kind of different. And people are going to have different opinions based on why their main necessity for carrying the firearm is. If you're out in the woods on a hike and you're using a big bore handgun for bear control, because it's probably going to be better than actual bear repellent, then maybe the shoulder holster or the cross draw holster is going to work for you. I'm not speaking to that type of carry. I'm speaking specifically to the self-defense nature of carry. Shoulder holsters were huge in the 80s, along with linen suits, Ferrari Testarossas, and Bren 10s. Not so popular anymore, and for good reason. You still do see them, law enforcement, you still do see some plainclothes detectives, those that have to wear the suit and tie, whole get up, that still kind of lend themselves towards shoulder holsters, but even that's kind of going away. My main reason for not liking the shoulder holster, be it horizontal or vertical carry, is the fact that you tend to muzzle a lot of stuff you do not want to point your gun at during the process of drawing the gun. Think about the horizontal with the muzzle to the rear. Literally, as soon as you index the firearm, you're muzzling everything to the rear of you through your jacket or cover garment or what have you. And as you draw the firearm, you paint a lot of stuff you wouldn't necessarily want to point the gun at. Now, yes, you can draw the gun and keep the muzzle oriented at the ground as you bring it around and sweep it up, but that goes against the efficiency. What are you really gaining from the shoulder holster carry that you wouldn't get from another carry position, such as traditional hip or appendix? Even with the vertical carry position, there's still an ergonomical issue. Doesn't mean that shoulder holsters are the devil, so to speak, but they don't lend themselves well to efficiency, and efficiency is something that we definitely want in our chosen carry position and chosen holster for self-defense purposes. A straw holster is much the same problem. As you draw the gun, you may paint and muzzle a lot of things that you do not want to point the firearm at, and it's not as efficient as, say, a draw stroke from a traditional dominant side carry or an appendix carry position. So for me, cross draw is also a big no. Underlining, bold italics again, this is specifically talking about self-defense carry. Are there some situations where cross draw does make sense? And I can say, yeah, there are. You look at vehicle mounted operations, especially combat zone, you see a lot of guys that wore their handgun mounted to their chest or low across the body, and that's because it makes the firearm more accessible in a seated position. So that's definitely a caveat. It's not something that's going to be very effective outside of that environment. And if your handgun is your secondary weapon anyway, then the carry position can be a little more fluid based on the environment that you're working in. But from a strict everyday carry, law enforcement, or citizen self-defense standpoint, I don't really see any distinct advantages from either of those two carry positions over hip carry, appendix carry. Certainly hope that answers the question. I hope I didn't hurt anybody's grandfather's feelings, but that's just the way I feel. I feel like you're not really getting any gain over the negatives versus shoulder holster or cross draw. I want to address them both in the same video. If you have any questions about this topic or any other question you'd like to see answered in a questions answered video, feel free to drop it in the comments section below, shoot me an email, hit me up on social media. I'm Aaron Cowan with Sage Dynamics. Train accordingly.